Well, in celebration of the Easter uprising, I thought I'd wear my green, show some of the bling. Oh, yes. And talk about stuff. Now, before you've heard me talk about living in a parsonage. Well, during this time period, there were several missionaries from many different parts of the world that would come to the parsonage. This is way before computers or even push button telephones. And there were party lines, but the parsonage had a private line. Thank God. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of gossip thrown around. Name throwing. The Archbishop of the Nazarene Church of the British Isles, Europe, and the Middle East. The Very Reverend Thomas Schofield would come to visit. And a little humor as the colonies served iced tea. And the Very Reverend Schofield complimented my mother as to her delightful iced tea, because in England, instant tea for iced tea was tasted like dishwater. And my mother, heading back into the kitchen, looked over her shoulder and said, "Well, that's what you've been drinking?" There were missionaries from Swaziland, New Guinea, Africa, South America. But as a child, I would lay on the floor in the living room and listen to discussions. Now, the missionaries from New Guinea who ended up in Swaziland, um, I remember one little discussion they were talking about how many souls that they had brought to the Savior. And I looked up and I spoke. "Oh, what happened to all the people that died before you got there? Did they all go to hell?" I would be quietly dismissed. Um, One missionary from St. Bernice, even, uh, is a registered nurse. She went to Swaziland. That seemed to be in the 60s, the place for the Nazarenes to go to. Oh, well, she went and established a healthcare mission, something totally different than the usual missionaries. She didn't go in dragging a cross and saying, "Well, this is what you must believe." Uh, she ended up marrying memory here. A doctor who was a native of Swaziland. And since it was an interracial marriage, her fundings, well, and the Nazarene Church rejected her because she married a black man. But one of my favorite missionaries was Miss Dorothy Allman. Oh, she was a big woman. Not necessarily fat. You'll see the picture of her noted as the polar N. Um, I'm the disgruntled child in the picture. Pick out that one. But she, I think, made 4 trips to the parsonage on her missionary tours. Um, she had many years in the mission in Buenos Aires. Um, she worked, well, her mission was to work with the poor Argentinian women. As an adult looking back, it were the unwed, widowed, single. Um, People that proper Nazarenes and proper Episcopalians would have avoided. And her stories. Back note. I believe it's called the Maramba. There were times she would come with both sets of her marambas, all the notes, 2 racks. And in her right and left hand would have 2 different mallets and play both of the marambas at the same time. Such beautiful music. No wonder the tango was invented in Argentina. But then there were the living room stories of, with her works in Buenos Aires, uh, she would get support from a young priest that was a Franciscan. Would have liked to have made that connection prior to Jorge moving on to the next journey, but that was squelched. Kids, these are experiences. The Creator only knows why I was exposed to them. But Dorothy was a vivid storyteller. There was one about the meat riots. I'm guessing that it was a time in Argentina, which we may experience. Uh, the ability to buy butchered meats was limited because Argentina could make more money exporting. I'm moving you. Exporting meat than selling it to the locals. Oh, those poor people can eat chicken. Well, occasionally a nice bit of beef is good from the pampas. pompous, not pompous words. And she was talking about being there with the women and the sound of gunfire breaking out. And a Jeep going by with automatic guns. Because apparently the women had a voice. And that part of the regime dealt with it harshly. Sound familiar? So everyone hit the deck. Those that did not hit the deck were killed or wounded. Well, besides Father Jorge of the Roman Catholic Church, that was a Franciscan that had helped her, there was a powerful woman that liked the way that Dorothy was working with people that, well, quite honestly, were more like the people of her upbringing. And so they developed a friendship. I can imagine that when this woman of power gathered up the bourgeoisie women of Buenos Aires and placed them in jails with common women and prostitutes. Well, maybe she and Dorothy had a good laugh over that. But now let me get back to the title of Banana Pudding, Orange Pop, and Dirt Floors. At 64, I'm not considered to be old, but it's been a very full life. My father, while pastoring at St. Bernice Church of the Nazarene, I'll have to get into a story sometime about during the Nazarene building project, and the Baptist and the Nazarene properties butted up against each other, and we lost our outhouse. But the Baptist had a two-holer, and there had to be agreement between the Baptist minister and the Nazarene minister, so we could use the same outhouse. What is that? Not full of shite. But anyway, Father would take me out to, when he did visitations, I guess if he felt uncomfortable, drag the kid. I want the kid to be a minister. Whoops. Father, guess what happened? I have a ministry. A calling. There's word usage. There's so many things that go with that. But one place that we would go visit, a lovely couple, shunned by many, that attended the St. Bernice Nazarene Church. Well, every time we would go to visit, this is when instant banana pudding was the rage, with the Ritz crackers and instant banana pudding, and if you could afford it, some sliced bananas in it. At the time, I absolutely detested it. But if it's placed in front of you, you eat it. Their home was simple. I believe it was in Centenary. So many little towns around that little town. And we would pull up and be invited inside. And the beverage of choice was orange pop. In fact, their babies, who was a toddler, uh, there was a type of nipple that could slip over the end of an orange pop bottle. And the toddler would be walking around in diapers. Not the disposable kind, okay, kids? With their bottle of orange pop with the nipple. And I would sit there. Now, the lady of the house had made certain that their living room floor, which was a compacted dirt floor, had been swept. I believe there was a linoleum, a true linoleum rug in the middle of the room. And I would be handed a portion of banana pudding, um, a jelly jar with some orange pop, and go off into my own little mind world. Um, while my father and the man of the house would be discussing things, whatever. I guess it was a blessing to be exposed to things I didn't know I was being exposed to. Um, the class system. Um, there was another couple. In fact, the husband of the couple, besides pig farming and grain farming, they were just over the line in Illinois. Um, he helped raise money for the building fund because he hunted raccoons for fur, and it was $50 a pelt back then, as it was the rage. The woman of the house. Oh, y'all would have loved her. Fat, jolly, not necessarily Nazarene. Um, she didn't mind me hanging out in the kitchen. I always loved going out to her chicken holes. And I couldn't touch a clutch, but I could gather in individual eggs and should put them in a bowl on the side porch. Their secret of egg keeping, if you don't wash them, you just keep them in a cool place. She could make the most beautiful, wonderful um, fried chicken. And if there'd been a slaughter happen of one of the hogs, um, a dinner might be pork chops. Trying to pull back into that memory because there's another one that clouds in there that's not happy. But had nothing to do with the parents. They did have an older son that I had a huge crush on. Oh, Lordy. And the complications. I'm trying to remember all the grandmothers that would. I called them grandmothers. Um, well, in proper situations, they would be called sister. Um, that made pies. One that would make certain I had a pound of fresh, home churned butter specifically for me. And the other grandmothers that would, when they would bake pies, uh, there would be two sent to the parsonage, one for the family and one for me. These special little things. Learning without knowing that I was learning. And now I have time to reflect. Oh, I wanted to make note to my friends from England. Always scoffed at Eleanor Castile, wife of Longshanks. Um, my 30th great grandmother via matriarchal line. They would scoff at me and go, well, Longshanks had many children. My blood is from Eleanor. She knew what went in and out of between her legs. Ooh, I did get some sun yesterday. No, it's not bad makeup. I just react to sunlight. So, lots of matriarchal history. A little bit of patriarchal. But as it gets closer to uh, time for my second dose of endurance medication, I've got things to do. I'm clearing house so that no one's left with a mess. Getting rid of clothing that I don't wear much. I've only worn a couple of times and thought I would enjoy wearing. You'll get to a point. Um, Also have some rug cutting to do. Not dancing, but I can't get onto my dogs. When my diapers leak and I pee on the floor, who am I to tell them that they must be ashamed of it? So I'm getting the stink out. So that's it. Glasses back on. Well, each one of you have value. I expect for you to check in with Colette O'Neill on her YouTube channel is Buildtime Cottage. She's another one of the elders watching and speaking truth. It's hard to find those nowadays. And again, you all have value. Gather your community around you. Shoot. Even include some of those that you really can't stand. It'll help keep an edge to your knife. Until next time, I don't know when that will be, but blessings on you. Drink more coffee and enjoy what you can.